In Jerusalem, on a night full of meaning, Jesus meets with his disciples. He takes a chalice in his hands, blesses it, and gives it to them. In this humble and transcendent gesture, he leaves the mark of the eternal. This chalice, witness to the Last Supper, will mark the beginning of a story that spans the centuries, a story of faith, of silences, of resistance. The story continues in Rome, the center of the empire. St. Peter arrives with hope, but also with risk. Years later, Emperor Valerian unleashed a ferocious persecution. Christians hide in catacombs and in their hearts. St. Lawrence guards the chalice, and in the darkest moment he entrusts his destiny to Priscillius, a young convert. A silent decision that will save a relic and much more. Priscillius crosses mountains, crosses borders, and reaches Osca in Hispania. There, he delivers the chalice to Lorenzo's parents. In that house, far from the power and noise, the chalice returns to silence. But it does not disappear. It remains, like the faith that is not proclaimed, but which is not broken. With the arrival of the Muslims, the peninsula was transformed. The Christians spread northwards. In the midst of resistance, the chalice became more than a sacred symbol, protected, defended, hidden. After years of uncertainty, it found refuge in a hidden place in the mountains, the monastery of San Juan de la Peña. There, under the rock, the handles are added. There, time envelops him. But it does not erase it. Much later, King Martin the Humane took him in as part of the royal legacy, and on his death, it was Queen Margarita de Prades who secured its destiny. She moved him to Valencia, and since then, the city has become its guardian. In the midst of the Napoleonic invasion, Valencia Cathedral loses its main altarpiece, cast to sustain the struggle, but the chalice was saved. Thanks to the determination of the priest Pedro Vicente Calvo, an inventory was made. It was packed with other relics, and it was transported by sea and land. The chalice arrived in Denaya in the middle of the French occupation. The people, fed up with abuses, rise up in arms, chants, or divine intervention. In the midst of the chaos, the chalice is taken out and sets off for Alicante, Ibiza, and Palma de Mallorca. And in 1813, it returned to Valencia. He had once again overcome the threat. Spain was fractured. The Civil War closed churches and opened wounds. Sabina Suey, a brave woman, acted without fanfare. She wrapped the chalice in newspaper and took it to her family home. When the militiamen burst in, José Pellicer saw it, but said nothing. He closes the drawer and saves the secret. Before leaving, he warns him, "Be careful. You could be killed." Sabina and her sister leave Valencia. The chalice travels with them, hidden, fragile, intact. They arrive in Carlet, and once again, the chalice hides, waiting for the storm to pass. Years later, emissaries from the Third Reich arrive in Montserrat. They are looking for the Grial. They question everything, but do not find it, because there are things that cannot be found with maps or power, because there are objects that do not seem to want to be found. Today, the chalice rests in the Cathedral of Valencia. It was held there by St. John Paul II, who wanted to celebrate the Eucharist with it during his visit to the city. Benedict XVI raised it before thousands of families around the world, and Pope Francis has established the Jubilee Year of the Holy Chalice every 5 years as a living sign of hope. It is no longer hidden. Now it is offered. Archaeology has spoken. Studies place the upper cup of the Holy Chalice in the 1st century. typical of the Judeo-Roman environment. The reliquary was completed in the Middle Ages in San Juan de la Peña. The chalice has been studied, traced, and validated by historians and scientists, and recognized by the Church. It is one of the most researched and preserved relics in the world. And, despite all that it has been through, it is still here. The chalice has crossed empires, wars, betrayals, and silences. It has been protected by humble hands and determined hearts, and perhaps by something more, because its history is not just a story, it is a survival, and it is in Valencia.